Welcome to Causing the Effect, a podcast focused on the exploration of your mind, body, and spirit.
Rebecca Babcock, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, this is dropping on Monday too. So about a week in advance. I'm talking to Rebecca Babcock, everybody. Coach, entrepreneurial person, all these different things going on. And we're going to talk about how to get from being stuck to fulfilled in your 9-to-5 job. We're going to talk about kind of your story a little bit here. I want to start with this autoimmune disease that you dealt with. It sounded like you were dealing with it for many years, even as a child. And what was this situation? How did that help transform you to who you became today?
Yeah, it is all of me. So first of all, let me just explain what it is.
Yeah.
So I have a chronic autoimmune disease, which means there's no known cause and there's no known cure. So from diagnosis till the rest of my life, it will be something that I live with. So it certainly still defines and is so much of me. I mean, it doesn't define me in a negative way. So I have what's called ulcerative colitis, and it's an irritable bowel disease. And my body believes that my colon is a foreign object. So it's constantly attacking it. There's a lot of symptoms. You guys can Google it. I'll try and keep this somewhat PG and not go into all of them. But it is a digestive disorder. And I was diagnosed when I was 16. So I went through high school and college and studying abroad and getting my first job at Vogue magazine and living in New York City and dating, and like Sex and the City was the biggest show. Sure. And I was working at Vogue, all that stuff, while having this other thing going on. And just to not bury the lead, when I was 38, I had my entire colon removed in an emergency surgery. And I went on to have 5 surgeries over 2.5 years to totally rebuild my digestive tract without a colon. So it is a huge part of who I am. And my sort of personal brand and my life mantra is no colon, still rolling. And it's cute and it rhymes, but it's not just about the obvious fact that I don't have a colon. It's about the fact that life has handed me some pretty lifey stuff. I was divorced in my early 30s. I've been fired from jobs. I, have this illness. I am 8 years sober. And my life mantra is, we just get back up. You can either be a victim or a victor, and like no colon, still rolling. That could have totally debilitated my life, but it defines me in a positive way because it showed me how strong I am and how much grit and determination I have to just show up and live an amazing life. So yeah, it's been kind of important. I would say it's been a little bit of a defining factor.
Now, what was the story that 16-year-old Rebecca told herself first when you got that news, and how was that story compared to the story of it? It sounds like it's something that you understand. It's really, it kind of guided you to become the person you are today.
Yeah. My life would have been very different without it. So just to very simply explain a little bit about me, not that you need to know that much. I grew up in a wealthy suburb of New York City. I went to an all-girls preparatory school. I was a white girl amongst white girls. And there was really nothing that made me any different or that would have, I think, put much of a fire in my belly. But then I was diagnosed with this illness that made me very different in a way that I didn't necessarily want it to. And this wasn't a disease that, it wasn't something that people could necessarily see. And that's a really difficult thing, to have a silent illness. It happens to be World Mental Health Day today. So yes. Just like depression or anxiety or addiction or anything else, there's a whole host of disabilities that no one knows anything about, and they can't tell by looking at you. And I buried it for a long time, and I had a lot of shame and embarrassment. And I also just didn't want it to define me one way or another. The beautiful part, Scott, is this was before the internet. So I couldn't WebMD and realize, oh my gosh, all these other things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. Diagnosed, I was 16. We did the treatments that were available at that time. And my disease progressed over the years. It got worse. So my interventions became more serious. I started to have to take chemotherapy-like medications, and I had to give myself shots and infusions and all sorts of different medications. But I didn't know that at 16. And what I did know is now I was different. And for a while, that was a real burden for me. and something I fought really hard against. And then I sort of made it my my secret superpower.
So you were resisting this identity that was kind of thrown on you in your teens. That's such a transformative time, and I know a lot of our listeners are in that age to be thrown with something. Hey, listen, you have this. It's not curable. Deal with it. So when did you start kind of letting go of the resistance? Let's say.
It was actually more of a long process, and you know, your life evolves. From 16, I was a sophomore in high school. At 18, I'm off to college. I had to think about things when applying for colleges that most people don't, like, is there good medical care? I'm very lucky. I got into Vanderbilt University, and it has a fantastic medical care team that, you know, I studied abroad. And the reason why I bring that up is because I had to have medications like secret shipped over to Italy so that I could actually study abroad. And the way I approached it was more like, as things came up, I just made a plan. And this was in a day and time when disabilities and all of this sort of awareness and conversation was not happening. So there was no, hey, Vanderbilt, can I have a dorm room that's closer to the bathrooms? Like, never even dawned on me. So a lot of this was just me figuring it out on my own. And I wasn't resisting it so much as figuring it out. But it really wasn't until I graduated and I went into corporate America and that happened that I realized, okay, I'm going to have to kind of pay attention to this and be aware of it and own it.
Yeah, because I could just imagine it's hard enough trying to figure out what you are, who you are, what's the meaning of life. That's difficult enough. And I have your background. Yeah. And I'm with you. Born and raised in Brooklyn, everything was handed to me, private Catholic schools, all this stuff. And I feel like you have to pay the bill at some point of being tough and having resilience in a way. And whether you deal with it in your 20s or you deal with it in your 30s, like I got divorced at 29. So similar situation to you. And I feel like I was a 29-year-old baby, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's some things to work on here.
Yeah. So that was me kind of at 16, right? But it evolved and it grew. And it wasn't until I graduated from college, and I know you have some young listeners, so I'll tell a little bit about my story. So I graduated magna cum laude from Vanderbilt University, and I was like, watch out, world, here I come. And I came back to New York, and 9/11 happened. And they weren't handing out jobs. So I interviewed 47 times before I got my first job, which in a way was really great because I'm really good at interviewing now. And I also got a feel for this is what the ad agency world is like. This is what PR is like. This is what, you know, all these retail is like, all these different things. And so my first job was at Harper's Bazaar magazine, and I was the marketing assistant. And I went on pretty quickly from there to go over to Vogue. And it was an amazing job. Now, having a chronic autoimmune disease, having doctor's appointments and medications that have to be administered in a hospital setting and all these things while having a job, that was different.
Yeah.
And the anxiety really mounted. And my solution to that at the time was to drink and have fun. And I later figured out that wasn't really going to work out for me. But that's when I had to start to be like, okay, you're going to have to come to terms with this illness in a way that you're going to have to talk about it, because no one knows that you're sick and it looks sketchy, right? Like, why aren't you showing up? Why, or, you know, why did you come in late or leave early? And my boss would always know, but other people around me wouldn't. So that's when I started to own it a little bit more. And then it evolved, and then there's the emergency surgeries, and it became much more a part of who I am. But I would say ultimately what I got out of having a chronic illness is, I think it's a gift. And I think that I know, can I use a word that has ASS in it?
Come on, it's my show, Rebecca. Whatever you want. SSS, it's fine.
I know I'm a badass. I am a badass warrior. And a lot of people want to hope they are, or maybe think they are. I've looked hell in the face. I have flatlined twice, and I know what I'm made of, and I would never give that up. So yeah, life gets lifey. I got a chronic illness. You didn't. Somebody else has something that they think is a huge burden that I don't have. We all have our thing. The key here is, how do you use that to benefit yourself and to grow into who you're supposed to be and to own it and honor it versus make it, I know many people that have my illness who shutter down and, like close the shutters, like get on disability, horrified by having bowel movements in the middle, like and rant 10, 20 times a day, feel like they can't go out in public, feel like they can't do things. The more I lean into it and the more I own it and the more I speak of it, the more other people also learn and heal and say like, oh, it's okay to talk about what's really happening in my life, not just what I'm supposed to. And by the way, there's a whole Instagram world for people who want to be honest and true and share success and be whole people. It's not just all the pretty stuff on Instagram or whatever your social media channel of choice is.
Yeah, you got that right. I think there's just a certain, like, this belief in yourself. You have to, some people, I guess they're born with it. I was not. I had to go through some things to kind of to earn it. So I feel like you really wouldn't be the person you are today without going through these struggles. Because in the pain, in the struggles there, that's where the growth lies. That's where the lesson is, in a way.
And that's why I had to quit my corporate job. Not to segue too early, but it is the truth of why I am now no longer in those fancy big jobs with the, all the perks and all the free stuff.
Yes. So now Rebecca's on this journey now, giving all of us hope to the, oh my God, I worked at Golden for like a year and I just couldn't do it, Rebecca. Just drinking the Kool-Aid and all this stuff. So let's just get into it. How would you coach or suggest somebody from going stuck, because this is the email I get. I want to do this. And usually it's weird stuff. I'm not going to lie. Who's listening to pottery and pro wrestling and all this weird stuff. Scott, I want to do this. And I think anybody has an inkling of like what you want to do. They're just scared to either admit it or they know deep down. Like, how does somebody go from the 9 to 5 to being fulfilled?
Okay. So I'm going to answer this in a few different ways. And the first way I'm going to answer is I'm going to explain why I have any credibility to even answer that question, right? Who am I? So I worked in corporate America for 21 years. I rose up the ranks. I was high up at global blue chip companies. As I mentioned, when I was 38, I had my entire colon removed. And what happened during that time is I was divorced, right? So I had to go back to work between each surgery. And at the end of all these surgeries, I was like, oh, okay, I've made it. And I took a look at my life and I was like, this doesn't seem like anything to really fight for. And I didn't mean that in a bad way. I just felt mad. I felt stuck. I felt uninspired. I felt like a cog in the wheel. I felt like I had been through this Herculean experience. I've actually run marathons. So it was like I'd run 5 marathons and it was like, what's the prize at the end? And it just wasn't good enough for me anymore. It wasn't good enough to have a fancy job with a paycheck and all of these things. So I went out looking for somebody to help me align my purpose and my values with my career. And what I found was a lot of life coaches that were like, what's the purpose of life? And I was like, cute. I have a chronic illness. I need to make money. I need health insurance. And then there were a lot of career coaches that were like, okay, LinkedIn profile, resume. And I was like, but I don't know what I'm applying for. And there was nobody in between. And I was afraid. So I just took another job as the head of sales for ad tech startup. And I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. It was the wrong job for me in the wrong field. And we basically mutually parted ways during COVID because I was never going to be what they needed and they weren't getting what they wanted. And I said, all right, now's the time. You've got no choice. You can dust off that resume again and try and see if this time will be the time that it makes sense. Or you can listen to the voice in your head that's been screaming at you since you were 16. And as we all know, COVID inspired a lot of crazy moves on a lot of people's parts. And so this is what I did. I took the time to stop and pay attention to me. So this is the number one. This is the first key to getting unstuck. This is the whole key. This is the whole thing. And how do I know? Because I've done it for myself and I've done it for a lot of other people. I didn't mean to become a coach necessarily. I discovered in this process of getting myself unstuck how desperately needed this method of unstuckingness was needed by other people. So it became my job. So the first thing here is, and then I'll stop and, because I've been talking for a while. So the first thing is awareness. We are all so busy doing. Our 5-year plan is really just our to-do list, because we're in action all the time, all of us. We're complaining about what we don't want. We're upset about this thing about the job, or that thing about corporate, or this thing about my boss, or the commute, or the pay, or the da-da-da-da-da. But we're in action. We're just doing and doing and doing and doing and doing. Stop. You need to become aware of who you really are, what you want, what motivates you, what your strengths and capabilities are, before you do anything else. Or life will keep getting lifey and you'll keep complaining about the delta between where you are and where you want to be. It doesn't just happen by osmosis. It happens because you decide to choose. So awareness is the first part. Now I'm going to be quiet.
Now let's talk about and all you listen, you better know by now, we have so many forms of awareness we've offered: meditation, introspection, journaling. Which one did you decide to go with? Was this something kind of pop in your head that, wow? Because for me, it was like Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza, all that classic new agey stuff I like.
So check E for all of the above.
Yep.
So I was diagnosed at 16. I've been on this introspective journey for a while. As I mentioned, the anxiety and the stress of being a young woman in corporate America, having a chronic illness, trying to hide it from everybody, including myself, that led me to drinking in a way that there's nothing exciting or interesting. I didn't go to rehab. There's no like down and out story. I just drank too much. And that was my medicine. I was anxious. I was scared. I was, divorcee. So I quit drinking when I was 35. That gave me a whole new set of tools: meditation, fellowship, awareness. I've been in therapy since the dawn of time. All the Eckhart Tolle, all the things I do. I meditate twice a day and I journal. And that brought things more to the surface, but it didn't necessarily bring me into action, but it gave me more awareness.
Okay. And now this is a key part here. This is what we talk. I get these emails too. It's okay, I'm aware, and now I'm aware, and I'm annoyed that I can't take this action. How do you take that step from awareness to taking action?
So what's interesting, because you say you got a lot of emails on that. I think people are confused about what awareness means. And awareness is not, I'm aware of what isn't working. So I will tell everybody listening, stop. Do not quit your job. Do not leave corporate America. Do not do anything yet. Keep your health insurance and your steady paycheck and the ability to pay rent and free snacks or whatever else work gives you. Because it's one thing to know what you're running from. And a lot of people have a lot of awareness about what they're running from. That doesn't help you at all. You need to know what you're running towards. And then you can take the action. And that's the tough part. That's the delta. That's how you get unstuck, is identifying, who am I? What are my values? What do I really want? What motivates me? What are my strengths and capabilities that make me different than the next person? How do I want to use that? And what is my vision? Then you can take action. But before then, you're just going to quit that job or start something on your own and then be like, oh, wow, this was really, Scott and I can tell you, entrepreneurship, it's no casual walk in the park.
Not even close.
There's huge benefit to leaving corporate 9 to 5. Mine was never a 9 to 5. It was like an 8 to 9. But there's huge benefits. There's also huge drawbacks. So you need to be real clear why you're willing to do that and what you want out of it before you just say, oh, I can't do this, quiet quitting or the Great Resignation. It's a beautiful story. Now, if you follow up on all those stories about the Great Resignation, a lot of those people ended up back where they started. They just took some time off and then didn't have any more awareness about what they did want. So they just needed a job because they ran out of money. Mm-hmm. Don't be that person.
No, I like that. And I like everything you're saying, because usually everybody's like, burn the Tony Robbins things, burn the boats, take the islands. Like, yes, Especially, I know a lot of people in New York listen. Like we like I enjoy nice things, Rebecca. I can't be leaving. I gotta make some.
You don't even need to enjoy nice things. If you live in New York, if you enjoy having a roof over your head and an occasional meal, you need to not quit your job until you know what you're doing.
Now, this awareness, is this part of the Babcock method?
Yeah. So the foundational principle of the Babcock method to go from stuck to fulfilled. And by the way, it's in 90 days, which is kind of crazy, but it's because this is a really concrete, proven system, and it's very different than other types of coaching, if you will, because it's looking at you holistically. So your career and your life, not one or the other. And it's totally customized. So we need to figure out your awareness of what you want, not just, and then there's a guarantee that it can get done in 90 days. But anyways, so yes, the base level, the only way to ever go from stuck to fulfilled or stuck to purposeful or meh and kind of just getting by to sight is to become really aware. First thing, because at this point, you're pretty powerless to make those real changes if you don't understand not only what you don't want, but what you do want. So it begins with awareness. And then from awareness, you can take action, but it's aware action. This is such a silly example, but it just came into my mind. I was chatting with a friend the other day and she said, "Oh, I've totally changed my diet. I've started eating salads. I'm not eating burgers and fries anymore." And then we were out to lunch and she orders a Caesar salad, which I'm not a nutritionist, nor do I play one on television, but Caesar salads have the same amount of fat and calories as a Big Mac. So you can have all the right intentions and you can take all the action. But if it's not aware action, it could be working aggressively against you. So that kind of action. And then it goes up the pyramid from there, but we can stop there for now. Yes. Do not take action until you know what you really want.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. The why. How, when you're dealing with your clients, I can imagine that sometimes the real why is like dug underneath
Got it.
some bullshit why. And I for the classic me was like, I want to be married, I want to have the house, and I want to get the kids by 27. I do it. I'm like, I hate this. Like what this wasn't even me. I feel like society's, it's mostly those people telling you something. I'm sure you felt that. Is that usually what it kind of goes with the clients? And what do you see as far as what true values are? Because I would say my values have totally changed in the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, first of all, most people don't actually know what their values are. They think they know what they are, but if you ask them, what are your top 5 values? They're like, honesty and kindness. Like, so again, awareness. But here's what most clients come to me with. They say, I want to make $1 million. I want to be able to buy a house. I want to get married. And this is also why the coaching that I do is totally holistic, because if you just think you want a new job, you'll get the new job and then you'll be like, still feeling the feels. So let's just get right in and address all of it at the same time. But if someone says to me, I want to make $1 million, I call it lazy coaching. A lazy coach would be like, great, let's go right into the action. Let's figure out the 5-step plan to get you the $1 million and da, 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 da. I'm going to say, why? Why do you want $1 million? How is that $1 million going to make you feel? And then they say, recognized, appreciated, valued. And I say, cool. Let's get you feeling recognized, appreciated, and valued. Maybe you make 40 million. Maybe you make 400,000. But I promise you, if I just get you to $1 million, you're going to make $1 million and then say, it must have been 2 million. I don't quite feel it yet. And coming from Scott and myself, who both got married on the younger side and got divorced on the younger side, just getting the house or the ring or the wife or the husband or the job, it's not going to get you what you really want.
You'll actually be more upset. I feel like I was more upset. I was like, oh, I thought I was sold this whole thing and I thought I'd feel it, and you don't feel it. You still have those fears. You still have limiting beliefs. And then it just got more angry. It was crazy.
Right. So yeah, to me, it's how do you want to feel? So if you begin with that, then your life satisfaction can increase, not just checking the boxes. And for some people, Scott, they don't want that. And I'm not their coach. They say, that's cool, whatever about life satisfaction. I just really need a new job. Great. You should go get that. And then once you get it, call me when you're still miserable.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So got to start with, what do you really want? Why do you want it? What are your motivators? Is it really for you? Is it for somebody else? And that can be hard to do on your own, but it's not impossible. You just need to pay really close attention to what your why is.
now let's just throw it out that we do the uncovering. The person wants love and freedom. Those just seem to be pretty common ones I get. And I think those are authentic. And let's just go with that.
Yeah.
How do you get the person now? Because I feel like that first step is the hardest thing to do. And I did this because a similar story to what you were doing during COVID. I got divorced and all this stuff. And I said, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And I'm doing both. And it's great. But taking that step, oh my God, to get on a stage in New York City. Oh my God. It was terrifying. And I think it's almost, people think I'm going to do it when I feel it, but you'll never feel it if you don't do it. And it's like, it's this paradoxical kind of thinking. How do you get somebody to take that massive action, let's say?
Okay. So the way I look at this on that same pyramid, so if the base level is awareness, don't take any sort of action until you really know what you want, and not just what you want, why you want it and how you want to feel when you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can start to take aware action. Now, let me explain, because the next part up on this pyramid is confidence. So they go hand in hand. Confidence, in the way I'm talking about it, is all about having a mastery mindset. So you either win or you learn. So in the awareness phase, if you're like, I'm aware I want to be a stand-up comic, I'm aware I want a podcast, you don't do anything yet. You need to research, you need to understand, you need to get some clarity around what that looks like so that you know what step to take. You have any idea what to take, what to do. So you start with the awareness. The action is, what's the research? What's the information I need to gather? Who are the people I want to talk to? How do I get more information about this? Everybody skips that stage.
Mm-hmm.
They just quit the job, or they do they break up, or they buy a house. So that when you go into the next phase, which is the confidence phase, you're in this mindset of, I either win or I learn, meaning I get up on stage. If it's terrible, okay, go back down to awareness. What didn't work? Why? What is the new action I need to take as a result of understanding that, so that I win more often?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, in interviewing, first you need to know, what's the right industry? What are your skills? What are your interests? What's your why for working? Then you start looking into it and say, okay, what kind of jobs align with this? So that when you go to apply or start your own company, you have an idea of what you really want, how to get there. So when you interview, if it doesn't work out, you go, okay, well, let me go back to awareness. Is that really the type of job that I want? Yeah, it really was. And I got turned down. Okay, what do I need to learn or do differently for it to be different next time? So that in that confidence, you actually, I'm sure you've heard this expression before. If you haven't, hey, I'll coin it. Esteemable acts build self-esteem. So it's not the other way around. It is in doing it. If you're not thinking, I either win or I lose. If I go on that stage one time and people don't laugh, I'm done. Why didn't they laugh? What could I have done differently? Was that the right venue? Were those the right jokes? How was my timing? How do you know what to ask yourself? Because in the action stage, you did a lot of research about what it takes to be a good stand-up comic. Win or learn. And that ultimately brings you to the top of the pyramid, which is choice. You're co-creating your own life in every moment. Because you know that you can go back into awareness, action, and confidence anytime and iterate and change and evolve and grow, because that's what life is. So the way we don't start things is because we go from an idea to execution. And that sets you up for a lot of disappointment.
The aware action piece, I absolutely love that. Yeah, and I'm lucky that I had a coach. I would say we did a little bit of that, but I was a member of the Tony Robbins thing, and it was a little too rah. Let's just keep going, push. It's like, listen, if you're not taking the time to enjoy it and move and understand, feel, that's what I like about the Babcock Method. There's a lot of feeling, and I think understanding the blueprint makes everything a little easier to kind of get where you want to go in that esteemable action. I've never heard of that, and I love that. I'm stealing it.
Favorable acts build self-esteem.
That makes perfect sense. And I've done all that. Everything you're saying, I did. I had the issues with comedy. I had to go back. And this is just tweaking. But that relationship with failure, that is where people crumble. That is, we're programmed this way. People shy away from it. I don't want to look like a fool and all that stuff. How hard is that aspect of the coaching side? Because I feel like that is the easiest part where people fall.
So this is why it's a coaching process. Because it's one thing for us to become aware of what you want and begin to take the action to research it. And when you get out there and you say, I win or I learn, yes, I got this. And it's actually in practice, it's hard. If it were as easy as awareness and action, everyone would be on their way and the world would be a merry and happy place. We have something called limiting beliefs and assumptions and interpretations and what I call gremlins. And these are the things that are holding us back. So we have to address those in order for you to go confidently in the direction of your dreams. So you've got to look at what's going on that isn't the logistics. If you said, I want to be a doctor and I don't have a GED, okay, that's a legit external block. As a coach, it's a dream. Very simple. All right, let's do this step to that step to this step to get you your GED so that you can start. Most of what we're dealing with is, I'm afraid, I don't know, money. It's always, I can't afford it, or what if, and that becoming more clear about those things that are holding you back, it becomes a leap of faith, but a more calculated, intelligent one than just jumping in with both feet, hoping for the best.
Yeah. And for everybody listening, what I like about this method and your coaching is that most coaches focus on the future. And what we've already done is the awareness in the present. We're going to get to the future, make steps. And then now you're going backwards to the trauma, people call it the limiting beliefs. And I feel like that is the part is missed by people. And even for me, that is the issue. Like anytime I go back on that issue or whatever that may be of unworthiness, fear, I'm not enough, that is where the issue lies. Now, I'm assuming your clients are going to be aware of their limiting beliefs, or you're going to make them aware by this point. How is that process of getting them out of that limiting belief? Is it self-talk? Are we doing some affirmations? Are we doing...
I can't give it all away for free, Scott. No, but I'll tell you, here's the one thing I do want to say about this. I'm a huge believer in coaching and in therapy. I have a therapist. Yep. I have a coach. To me, therapy is about what are you running from?
Yep.
What has happened in your past that precludes you from being able to really be present today? Very important work. I'm not trying to step on those toes at all. The way I coach is, what are you running towards? We may address the same things, the same childhood traumas, the same challenges, the same limiting beliefs about yourself. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not pretty enough. But what we're looking at that for is how to move forward and get you where you want to be. And there's a lot of modalities to do that. I actually am a certified coach, meaning there's a lot of people out there that are like, I'm a coach now. I had something tough happen to me. I decided to become a coach. I went back to school. My undergrad degree is in human and organizational development, but I went back to school and took a 9-month certification so that I actually can work people through different modalities to help them. I also bring in the way that my coaching program works is, because it's so holistic, is I actually bring in outside experts, because I can't be everything, but I want this to be a one-stop shop. So I bring in breathwork expert, I bring in a meditation expert, and a lot of different resources and tools so that you have what you need. But the focus really is on, we've got to address the stuff, but it's not just so that you can leave the session and say like, okay, well, I cried for an hour. There's an action item. There's something tangible you can take from that to move forward in your life.
Beautiful. Yeah, everybody, Rebecca graduated from IPEC, which is one of the top Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, right? Fantastic, wonderful program, one of the most accredited coaching schools. And now, but the fact that you did it now, like you've done it this year during COVID, like that must have not been. How did COVID affect you? Were you, because I found more zen not being bothered in Manhattan, but how did you react to it?
So I've had a chronic illness since I was 16. Mm. So everyone started getting nervous about their health and their wellness and going out and washing their hands and paying attention to things and being so furious they had to get a vaccination or wear masks. And I was like, hi, welcome.
Welcome to my world.
I've been doing this my whole life. And so for me, my mother lives out in Connecticut. So during COVID, I moved out here. I left my very expensive apartment in New York, kept paying rent, but I moved out here. And part of what happened for so many of us during COVID is that some of the things that we maybe complained about our jobs also were the things we liked. Fellowship, people, free food, an ability to leave your home, the gym. So I found it just became an accelerated process for me of recognizing when I just got up, sat in front of a computer all day long and went to sleep, that I didn't like my job because I didn't have any of the other parts. So what I loved about my job was that I mentored and led teams of salespeople. I loved the interaction with others. It just wasn't the same for me when I was home all day. So for me, that was the accelerator. And it was terrifying and it was a huge blessing. So in the throes of COVID, my employer and I decided like, this just isn't the right fit. And so that's when I went back to IPEC and figured all this stuff out and started this journey. And then when I did really actually start my company, because I had a lot of awareness of what I wanted and a lot of awareness of what I was going to be giving up, I left my apartment in New York City for good, moved in with my mom full time so that I could focus 100% on my new business and not on paying exorbitant New York City rent. So there is a lot of things that you have to take into account. The other thing I hadn't brought into account until later on is, oh, my company pays for my health insurance. And now I work for myself. So that's been a fun journey as well. But yes, this was all my COVID experience.
I mean, I guess you couldn't pick a better time, but you also couldn't pick a worse time. It's like both. Because like for you now how long have you been on your own for? It's 2 years now?
Years.
What did you expect to be the hardest thing? And what was actually the hardest issue?
So I think I had no idea what would be the hardest thing. I think I thought having my own company,
competition, something, that's what I would think. Right?
The hardest thing, I guess I was worried about where am I going to find people? Who are my clients going to be? The real hardest thing in real life is I am one person and I am the coach. I am the salesperson. I am the content creator. I am the marketer. I am the accounting firm. I'm all the things, which is the truth. All of you listening who want to start your own company, ultimately you'll make, hopefully, if you're successful in it, you'll make enough money to be able to outsource things. But first of all, you won't make that kind of money at the beginning. And second of all, you can't outsource something until you know how to do it yourself. So being all the things all the time it's beautiful. It's empowering. It's powerful. It's inspiring. It's also really hard work. I didn't know that was going to happen.
And you basically have to, with the marketing, it's like, well, at least that's what you did. Like for me, I hate marketing. Rebecca, I can't do it. I was like, I have to start doing this and it's not going to be enough. But like, that's how I keep thinking about your little phrase there. These things, like that's how you get more comfortable with posting Instagram and doing all this and kind of putting yourself out there. What's the one thing you would tell let's say a young entrepreneur who's doesn't have a story yet, hasn't quite been hardened yet, just has this inkling, like I want to do X. What would be your advice to them?
Same advice. Stop. Get really aware on what you want. My favorite thing is all my clients say, I need work-life balance and I need to make a lot of money. Awesome. You're probably not going to be able to do those things at the same time. Mm-hmm. So what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to be okay with not having? Goodbye 401k, goodbye health insurance, but also goodbye 9 to 5, goodbye commute, goodbye all of that. I make my own hours. I have a chronic illness. I got to go to doctor's appointments in the middle of the day. No problem. No one I need to explain that to, but I still got to make up those hours. Right. So it's just not the same. So I think you need to get really aware of what you want and what you're willing to put on the line including your ego
Mm-hmm.
and your social life and a lot of other things. And make sure you're really clear about this, because exactly what I said before, it's one thing to know what you're running from, but get real clear about so what grounds me, what drives me every day is that I've been through hell so that someone else doesn't have to. It is through sharing my experience, strength, and hope in corporate stuff, in illness, in divorce, in recovery, in all these areas that it heals me and it helps others.
Yeah.
So that became more important to me than the safety and security of an assured paycheck. And if you don't have that, you're not going to keep going.
Yeah, no, and I like that, the sacrifice piece. You have to be aware of what you're going to have to sacrifice to get what you want on a real level. And that ego piece, that's hard. I mean, leaving that corporate job, I was in hedge funds and all this stuff, and just telling, it's a weird thing going through. Like, how has that been for you? Like, I'm not the big Vogue girl, Vogue marketing and all this stuff. Now I'm a coach. How has that been?
Very humbling.
Right.
Because had an illness at 16, because I got sober when I was 35, I'm kind of used to being a little contrarian and being the thing that you look one way and you actually are another. And I've been very proud of that. And I've been a very, very outspoken member of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation and in recovery, so that there's people that already know that I'm kind of like, I tell it like it is. What's been hard is, I was defined by my careers. I was the senior director of integrated marketing at Glamour magazine. I was in business development at eBay. I hid behind those titles and those names as much as I possibly could, because here's my story. I wasn't married with kids. I didn't really have anything else to define me. So by walking away from those titles and those things, it was like, well, who really are you? And I needed to figure that out. And who I am is somebody who wants to help other people and feels that I have a set of life experiences that allows me gives me the credence to qualify me to do that. Yeah. And so, but what I do find is in anything in life, Scott, it's like everything else. You know this from getting divorced young too. It's all in the delivery. I have no shame in my game.
Yeah.
I live with my mother, walked away from corporate America, and am living my best freaking life on my terms. If I present it that way, there's no room for someone else to be like, oh, what everyone actually says to me is, I'm so jealous.
It really is how you deliver it. It's really, I'm not gonna lie, Rebecca, it's been getting to me because this is wedding season. So now you go to these weddings every fucking week, and I was like, oh, exactly the face you made. Oh, you'll find it. I'm like, yo, I don't know.
No, the way I say it is this. It's like if you showed up at your prom without a date and everyone cocks their head to the side and goes, oh, good, that's good for you. That's good. Like they're all like, oh my God, you're pathetic. Same idea. Going to the wedding single, being like, so I say to people, I'm between husbands.
I'm still in that too.
Yeah.
I'm between wives. I like that a lot.
Right now, doing a lot of research.
See, that's really good. I like that.
It's all about confidence and delivery.
What's your sign, Rebecca? I'm just curious.
My birthday's on Saturday. I'll be turning 44.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that. Well, happy early birthday.
Thanks.
Cool.
Nice to celebrate it and actually be proud of what I've done with my life.
Yeah. And I think that's even the contrarian piece. You have to, even being aware of that, like, because I'm the same way. And you always want to be a contrarian, but you have to remember, like, the path as a contrarian means you're unique, which means you'll probably be doing a lot of this on your own and having these, if you're going to go against the grain, you have to be aware of what that really means to go against the grain.
Yep.
And, I'm even understanding that now because I'm the guy who's up 4:30 doing meditating, but I'm the comedian. And it's like, well, going to bed 11:30 and waking up at 4:30, it doesn't really cut it. So you have to understand what give and take and all that goes into it, because you don't really realize it if you're not being aware.
Just be aware of it first. So then if you take the leap, you're not stuck like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And I still had no idea, but at least I tried to have an idea before I did it. Exactly. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be ego crushing. I knew it was going to be scary. I knew it was going to cause financial challenges. That part I knew. The rest of it, you're not going to know till you're in it.
Mhm.
Oh, I will say one other piece of advice though, for those listening that are young entrepreneurs or are thinking about doing that. You need a network and you need to ask other people all the time, regardless of your level, regardless of where you are. How do we become aware? Someone else has been there before. So here's a parable that I like to share. Have you heard the story about the man in the hole?
I have not.
Okay. This is my whole ethos in coaching, and it should be, I think, everybody's ethos. There's a man, he's walking down the street, he falls into a giant hole and he can't get out. And so he's yelling for help, and he sees a priest or a minister or a rabbi or a religious leader of some kind walk by, and he says, please, please help me. And they throw a prayer down and they keep walking. Then a doctor comes along and you say, doctor, help me. I've broken my leg. I need to get out of here. Help me. And they throw a prescription down. Then a friend walks by and you're like, please help me. I'm stuck in the hole. And the friend jumps in the hole. And you say, what are you doing? Now we're both stuck in the hole. And your friend says, I've been here before and I know the way out. That is what we all need. We need to be that person and we need to find that person.
I like that. Wow. You see, I've heard all the parables and the stuff. That's a new one for me, Rebecca. Very cool. Very cool. And now I don't want to do it too early, but I believe you are offering people 1 hour free coaching.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to blow it up.
Clearly, the type of coaching that I do is not for everybody. It's really a holistic approach to your life and it's totally customized. So it's not like we meet on Wednesdays at noon on Zoom. And if you miss it, here's the recording. Like it's got to be work I do one-on-one per client. And it's holistic. So if you just want a new job, I'm not your girl. If you just want to be happy, but no, if you just want to be happy, call me. That's awesome. I can help you with that. And then the other thing is that it's guaranteed. So I have my clients take an assessment and it measures your overall life satisfaction as it relates to career, finances, relationships, and self-worth. So all the things. And I guarantee that your overall life satisfaction will increase in this measurable way in the 90 days that we work together. Or I don't need an or because it's never happened. I've never had that not happen. So this works, right? So it's not for everybody. It's for a very specific type of person. So what I'm offering is, we'll give you the links. Go spend 10, 15 minutes with me. Let's see if I can even help. Because I'm pretty clear about who I can't help and I'll let you know. And I'll, send you to somebody who can help. But if I can help, what I want to do is offer you a free 90-minute session where we go through this program that I'm talking about, the curriculum, this trademark method, and how it works and why it's different and what you get out of it. And if it's a fit, great, we'll start working together. And if not, I've been in the hole. If you're in that hole, I want to help you get out. So that's my offer.
Got nothing to lose, people.
Nothing to lose.
100% guaranteed. It's you've always gotten somebody to work it in 90 days. That's crazy.
100%. If you don't get there, I keep working with you for free until you do. I just have never had to offer that before. I've never had to follow through on that because I'm good at what I do. And it works.
Trust me, guys. I know these New York City girls. They don't play games.
No, I'm not playing games, guys.
Rebecca, thank you so much. And everybody could find the links below on the Instagram. You'll find Rebecca somehow. And if you need help getting her, just reach out to me. And I'm always available. Rebecca, this was awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening.
Of course. That's it. Cause and the Effect, people. Thank you guys so much. Like, subscribe, leave a review, all that good stuff. Just keep doing what you're doing. Show one of your friends. That's the only thing I ask. As always, stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.